The City Below. Overview. The Urizeni rebellion in the mountains of Ankara and Sinion is largely resolved, or at least stabilized, thanks to the decision of the Imperial Senate to recognize the Silver Flame as foreigners in Ankara and voting to amend the title of War Mage, which has seen Sinion return to the Empire. It's still hard to see what would ever reconcile Kaylee and her fellow rebels with the Empire, but the steps that have been taken should be sufficient to ensure the situation does not deteriorate any further. It's a solution that everyone can live with, at least for the time being. With that achieved, eyes return to Apulian, the city of nets, or the city below, as some in the mountains overlooking it have nicknamed it. More people are arriving in Apulian every day. League citizens looking to make their fortune are sailing here from all over the Empire, heedless of the dangers of the bay at this time. They are not the only ones, though. There have always been Urizeni living in Apulian, even when the city was occupied by the Grendel. But now their numbers are slowly rising, encouraged by the mandate enacted by the Urizen Assembly to share the best of Urizen culture with the League. The fusion of League ambitions and Urizeni poise is proving fertile, and a welcome antidote for some, for the more brash self-promotion of the former Grendel. No one can know what the Union might yield, but the League will need to make the decision now whether this is the destination they choose. The city above. Apulian is growing rapidly. The next few years will be crucial in determining the character of the newest city of the League. Urizen have extended the hand of friendship, offering to help shape the future of the city. Apulian's claims to be a city reflect its ambitions as much as the reality on the ground. It is small, much smaller than the smallest of the great cities of the League, and has little of their storied history. Only a few years ago it was a sleepy port town, the largest settlement in Spiral, but still little more than a minor frontier settlement that was the last resting place for adventurous citizens journeying south. When the Grendel invaded, they worked hard to expand Apulian, eager to build up on the docks. The orcs of the Broken Shore preferred to live on the coast, disdaining the high mountains. Slowly but surely the port grew until it became a thriving settlement that could claim to rival Mead or Kalperheim, and had ambitions to be bigger than them both. Now that Spiral has become part of the League, a steady stream of League citizens has replaced the former influx of Grendel, and they, too, wish to settle in the city for the most part. Thus, Apulian continues to grow apace, but it has a long way to go before it matches the size of Sarvoz and the grandeur of Holberg. But what makes a city is not just its size, and certainly not its history. It is more intangible, more ineffable than that. There is a vibrancy to Apulian, an air of excitement in the city, a fever in the blood. The city is a bustling hive of activity. It is constantly moving. It's filled with ambitions. A poet might suggest that the city itself was a living thing. To live in Apulian is to know with certainty that you are going somewhere, that the city is going somewhere. But where is it going? It is a city in motion, that much is certain. But the destination is not yet set. Not yet, at least. One group that has some ideas on that are the Urizeni, who still dwell in Spiral. Encouraged by the judgment of Leah Adelar von Holberg and inspired to act by the mandate enacted by Lepidnia, they have reached out to their neighbours in the city below. The offer is there to share their values, to build a city founded on philosophy, learning, and a vision for a better future. The League is infamous for its ambitions, but people often forget that the nation of Urizen is dedicated to nothing less than the creation of a new utopia, the perfection of all humanity. The next few years will be crucial. Apulian will soon be full grown, like a fine wine maturing. The town will become a city. At that point, its essential nature will be set. The book will be written. The page will no longer be blank. Cities can still evolve, of course, when they have to, but the older they become, the harder it is to change. What happens now, and in the coming seasons, will define Apulian for years to come. Thus, the decision whether to embrace the Urizeni will have a profound effect on Apulian as the city develops. If the League welcomes this, they could use a mandate of their own to encourage the citizens of Apulian to welcome the changes. This mandate would only require 25 Lau, if spread by Leah Adelar von Holberg. If this mandate is enacted, then it will encourage the citizens of Apulian to welcome the Urizeni magicians of Spiral to the city. People will look to their neighbours to see what lessons they might learn from them. There is no humility in this for most League citizens. Everyone is looking to get ahead. The mandate would simply be the best way to do that. No one knows what the ultimate consequences of such a decision might be. Nobody in the league is about to adopt poise or start talking about Arete, but Urizen is known for its philosophy and, of course, most famously, for its mastery of magic. Apulian could become a city that embodies the best of both. If the mandate is not enacted, then Apulian will still welcome Urizeni visitors to the city. People with money to spend in taverns and hostelries are always welcome in any league city. The league will take their money, but not their advice, so they won't have an impact in the growing character of the city. The window to fuse the best of Urizeni philosophy and learning with league culture and ambition will close, and there will be no more opportunities like the one now presented by the magicians of the Deathless Cave. The city below. Magicians aligned with the Deathless Cave have become a common sight in Apulian. Sung's Herald is asking the League to consider building a fane to Sung within the boundaries of the city. Actius, arbiter of the Deathless Cave, represents many of the spires in Ankara and Sinian who were most keen to remain in Spiral, even after their territory was claimed by the League. Their loyalties are to the spire and to their study of magic. By building the mithril statues required by Sung, the Empire was able to make it possible for them to continue to prosper in the studies, especially once the League agreed to provide the mana. There are drawbacks to this solution, but the fact that their spires are now hidden from the Grendel should they ever return is an unlooked-for advantage given how many times Spiral has been invaded in recent years. Even with their demands met, Actius and his associates were wary of abandoning Kaylee and the other rebels to their fate. Loyalty is a virtue, after all. But with a solution in principle for 2, the Night Mages of Ankara now feel more comfortable mixing with their league neighbours. This is having an unexpected impact, in part because of the powerful expertise with night magic this group of Urizen enjoy. The Deathless Cave have always been dedicated to the study of night magic, or, more precisely, the strange nexus where night magic meets music. The Spire is known as much for its musicians as its magicians, something they take great pride in. There is a powerful herald called the Dancer at the End of Time, who appears to dwell somewhere in the cave itself. The Dancer is a close friend of the magicians, and more particularly the musicians of the Deathless Cave, and enjoys performances and discussions of magic, music, and myths with the occupants of the Deathless Cave and whoever visits them. Most magicians imagine a city to be a thing associated with the Autumn Realm. Cities are built on trade, one of the primary resonances of the Autumn Realm, but they are also places of great prosperity and influence peddling. It is well known that the city of Locks keeps a tight control over a powerful regio inside one of the clock towers in Holberg, although no one can agree which one it is. Cities resonate with the Autumn Realm, in much the same way that mausoleums of the Necropolis resonate with the Winter Realm. But, says Actius, that is not all cities are known for, and certainly not all they can be. Cities are a furnace of the imagination and creativity. The arts flourish wherever people gather, and music, art, theatre, poetry all have a deep resonance with the night realm. And cities can be places of great secrets, of hidden depths, and so the nightlife can quickly become the nightlife. It is clear that these magicians enjoy the patronage of the Rainbow Serpent. Now they are offering to share this patronage with the city. The Chamber of Euphony. Actius asks the League to commission the Chamber of Euphony, a place to put on musical performances. They suggest that the Empire could cede the chamber to Sung to create a fane. Doing so would introduce the night into the city of nets, spreading mystery and intrigue. It would create the title, The Map to the City Below. Actius asks the League to commission the Chamber of Euphony, a small, intimate auditorium that incorporates unusual acoustics. Actius says will allow beautiful, evocative performances of music that audiences would find spellbinding. The structure is not small. It would require 10 wains of mithril, 10 rings of ilium, and 30 crowns in labour, and take a season to complete. Once built, it would create a folly, a place to hear transcendent music. It would be a location of note and interest in the city, and people would go there to enjoy the performances of local musicians. However, Actius says that once this is complete, the city would cede the Chamber of Euphony to the Spiral Dancer. Doing so would make the Chamber of Euphony an active fane. Doing so would create a new position that Actius calls the Map to the City Below, who would be responsible for performances by heralds of the Lady of Mysteries. The Map could meet with the heralds of the Eternal to represent their views to the Empire and to represent the Empire to them. They would have a chance to acquire crystal fire in exchange for money that the heralds would use to pay musicians to perform at the chamber. Night Singer has no interest in using tedious autumn magic to communicate, but it would provide the map with a single effigy of Sung to help them cast clear counsel of the ever-flowing river if they wish to ask questions of the Eternal. Actius believes that Spiral Dancer's influence would be beneficial for the city. The purpose of the Fane and the map would be to promote magic, music, and mystery in the city. However, he does confess that the presence of Sung within the city would draw the interest of other powers of the Night Realm. The Toad King is still angry with the Empire at the moment, but he won't stay mad forever, and he won't be able to pass up a chance to poke a city where night magic is flourishing. The Whisper Gallery is under enmity, so they won't be able to reach Apulian, but their cultists will, and a city of mystery would be catnip to them. Actius says the Spiral Dancer is very particular about who is appointed to become the map. It must be a magician, a musician, or a mystery. Any one of those three is fine. More prosaically, it would need to be a resident of the city, a League citizen whose resource was in Spiral. That can't be a legal requirement, but Actius says Feather and the Breeze can't help a mortal become the map to the city below, unless they are a resident in the city below. Given these conditions, the civil service advised that it would be best if the map were a League national appointment, if the Fane is built. The Black Plateau. Both the League and Urizen Assembly have warned of a Grendel plot to weaponize the Black Plateau. The Apulian Orcs are highly skeptical of this claim. They doubt the Grendel as a native have the ability or the inclination to do such a thing. Estea Lucati warned citizens not to go near the Black Plateau, so, of course, some League citizens have gone to the plateau to see what the fuss is all about. The Grand Master of the Shuttered Lantern could ask their order to investigate what magic, if any, is being worked. The Imperial Spy Master could hire spies to investigate what the Grendel are up to, if anything. The Synod could ask the Silent Bell to assess what risks the plateau presents. The Assembly of Vigilance could use a mandate to urge citizens to look for signs of danger. If more than one of the options is taken, it will result in disaster for everyone involved. The Imperial Senate could provide the Oblivion Sentinel with a stipend to help them investigate threats. Both the League Assembly and Urizen Assembly have chosen to warn citizens of Spiral of a Grendel plot to weaponize the Black Plateau. Priests have been mobilized to provide spiritual protection, and people have been warned to stay away. The majority of League Orcs who live in Apulian treated this entire matter as a hilarious joke until they were told of the Iontuck Erin and the warning of the enigmatic herald of Sung. What first was clearly seen as an incredibly clever confidence trick from the Oblivion Sentinel to promote the importance of the position became recognized as an example of a Grendel who had gotten too mixed up in fog magic. They categorically do not believe that the Grendel as a whole are doing anything with the Black Plateau. The nation has neither the skills nor the inclination to mess with it. Certainly, there is absolutely no sign of anything happening with the Black Plateau. The Grendel that definitely were there have been dealt with, and the thing remains completely quiescent. There's no evidence that has emerged since that these Grendel were part of a wider plan. They seem to have gotten too invested in studying the plateau, while Spiral was still ruled by the Salt Lord Kaliact, and then predictably fallen to its influence. But the Empire could decide that they want certainty of evidence and opt to investigate. There are a number of options that could be chosen. The Grand Master of the Shuttered Lantern could use a Declaration of Concord to provide guidance to their order and ask them to investigate what magic, if any, is being worked within the vicinity of the Black Plateau. The Imperial Spy Master could spend 5 thrones to pay for scouts and spies to investigate what any Grendel are still in the area are up to, if anything. Out of character note, the Spy Master would need to put the money in their pack after the event and email to confirm. The Synod have 2 options. They could ask the Silent Bell to assess what risk the plateau presents, or the Assembly of Vigilance could use the following mandate to urge citizens to look for signs of danger. Be alert to all dangers, within and without. We send a named priest with 20 doses of Liao to ask citizens living near the Black Plateau to expose the truth of what is happening there. The Senate mandate of vigilance. Whatever option, if any, the Empire takes, the civil service warns that it will be very dangerous to enact more than one of these options. The Black Plateau is notorious for the way it affects the minds of those who draw close to it, enraging them and making them violent. There is every chance that if 2 groups are sent to investigate the plateau, they will end up attacking each other. All evidence suggests that nobody needs to do anything, but if more than one of the above options is taken, it will result in disaster for everyone involved. The safest solution might be for the Imperial Senate to increase the funds available for the Oblivion Sentinel. If they gave the Sentinel a stipend of 5 thrones a season, that would help them pay for people to deal with any problems that do arise with the Black Plateau. As for everyone else, most sensible folk have followed the advice to stay well away, but sadly, not everyone. A marvellous view. Conjunctions. A party of adventurers from Apulian has run into difficulties in the woods of Scrood. These two skirmishes are both combat possible encounters. Estella Lucati and the Mistress of Medicine, Donato Zanella de Raposi de Sarvos, are responsible for rescuing the citizens. The company of the Venturesome Harrier, a successful company of merchant adventurers from Apulian, has for the past year been running a series of adventurous walking tours within Spiral. To quote their promotional material, setting out from the refurbished old citadel of Harrier's Rest, those firm of resolve and deep of pocket may visit the stark and inspirational beauty that is the Black Plateau in relative safety, protected by the very latest in magic and artifice. If only their artifice had been proof against unseasonable storms, making slightly slower time than predicted in thunderstorms, high winds, and heavy rain, a pair of hiking parties seem to have run into some kind of difficulties in the woods around a day south of Harrier's Rest. The Harlequin, the egregore of the League, has reported that all the hikers are still alive, but they appear to be in significant distress. The suggestion is that these citizens have likely fallen foul of nothing worse than the weather, but given their position just short of the Black Plateau and away from a settlement protected by the Mithril Block, how long will that last? The company has of course sent out its own people, but they have also sent a request to Anvil. Could the Mistress of Medicine, Donato Zanella de Raposti de Sarvos, demonstrate the humanitarian applications of their power by investigating whatever has gone wrong for these adventurers, treating these injuries, and helping get them mobile? Given that she was the one to warn people of the dangers, the civil service have asked Estrella Lucati to take responsibility for the other conjunction, the Block. All this talk of the Black Plateau has reminded people of the importance of the Block. The League are currently unable to create new buildings that are protected from the Black Plateau without great expense. As a result, any commission requires 25% more in labour costs and must include additional mithril equal to 1/5 of the total cost in wains. All this talk of the Black Plateau has reminded people about the importance of the Block. The Urizeni magicians developed techniques for infusing buildings with a web of mithril nodes to protect the inhabitants of the Spire from the worst of the plateau's influence. They refused to share these techniques with the Grendel, but they did sell the fruits of their labour, carrying out the work on behalf of the Grendel. That way they kept the secret and got very well paid in the process. But in summer 385 YE, the Urizen Assembly enacted a mandate by Lepidnia, urging the nation to refuse to share the secrets of the Block or provide any other aid to the League until they prove they are more than petty opportunists. As a result, life in Apulian is difficult for new residents. Every commission requires additional blocks of mithril to provide protection, and the deliberate refusal of all aid has seen taxation gain from the territory dramatically drop as food and other supplies need to be brought via ship. In a later judgment by Tarquinius Uncarian in autumn 385 YE judgment, the Urizen Assembly agreed unanimously to provide the same assistance Urizen had previously offered to the Grendel. Urizen would use the mithril block to help protect the minds of citizens of the plateau, but they were not ready to share its secrets. They could now use a mandate to confirm their intent. If the named priest is Tarquinius Uncarian, the Lao requirement is 25 rather than 50. If this mandate is enacted by Urizen with a greater majority, then it will remove the current penalties affecting economic development in the Spiral, caused by the Black Plateau. If it isn't enacted, or doesn't receive a greater majority, it will have no effect. More than a few residents of the Spiral have pointed out that the current piecemeal approach is expensive and making it harder to build impressive new commissions in Apulian. If the League Reckoners could find some way to persuade Urizen to carry out the mandate, perhaps some way to grace the wheels, then that would make everything in Spiral significantly cheaper. Chain of blue flowers. Blue flowers blossom across Spiral. And finally, in the months since the spring equinox, blue flowers have blossomed across Spiral. There is nothing uniform about them save their hue, and even that runs the entire gamut from cobalt to sky, from cerulean to azure, from sapphire to indigo to lapis lazuli. They grow wherever flowers can survive, sometimes in ones and twos, sometimes in great blankets. The scent of the flowers is hard to describe. It seems to be different for each person, but always feels fresh, exciting, and full of potential. Those who embrace the flowers, and wear them as decorations, bring them into their homes, spend times in the mountain fields where they cluster, experience a variety of different effects. For many people, the flowers are renewing, refreshing, reminding people of their youth and the finest years of their lives. Others have a more extreme reaction, almost an allergy, becoming vicious, even violent. The flowers, it seems, are infused with the resonance of spring, and while that is often positive, it also brings with it the echoes of bloodshed, chaos, and destruction. For the most part, though, the flowers are a hopeful sign. They are surely the result of ritual magic, but the message they send can be interpreted as one of renewal and new beginnings, and at the same time a gentle reminder that while things may seem calm right now, there is no status quo in spring.